Hello everyone, it's Spartan Warrior 5 again here today, and excuse me, my throat seems to be a little bit dry here. Cherry Pepsi. Delicious stuff. But anyways, today I wanted to talk about something that I've brought up in the past. I'm doing random shit here. I brought up in the past on my previous channel. That video seemed to be, it did a lot of success. It had some discussion going. A lot of people watched it. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. And that whole topic is the direction of first-person shooter games. Where are these games going? In terms of gameplay, in terms of production. Where are these first-person shooter games heading? And I wanted to do sort of a follow-up, more of an updated type of version, because we have these new games coming out, Medal of Honor Warfighter, Black Ops 2, in the future, Battlefield 4, a lot of these new upcoming first-person shooter games. And I just wanted to talk about predominantly two of the main franchises being, Call of Duty and Battlefield, maybe touch a little bit on Medal of Honor, start over. I think I'll start off with talking about Medal of Honor Warfighter and, where I see that series going with Danger Close as its producers and, developers. Basically, I don't see Medal of Honor going very far in terms of online multiplayer, and there is a bus outside. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm terribly sorry that there are so many distractions in this video, but, yeah, like I was saying, I don't see Medal of Honor going very far in terms of multiplayer. And the reason being is because, for one, I'm watching gameplay of the Xbox 360 beta that they had released. The game looks very clunky. It looks like, the campaign from 2010, very shaky, very, I don't know how to describe it really. Very slow going. And they were implementing the Frostbite 2 engine into their multiplayer. And so you have this combination of very clunky, very slow-paced movements, combined with this sort of fluid engine that we're seeing here right now in this Battlefield 3 gameplay. And to me, it just doesn't mix. It's not a good combination, because for one, in my opinion, the game looks a lot like Battlefield 3. Just the movements, the reload animations, a lot of it looks very similar to Battlefield 3, just because of how the engine is run. But also the graphics, the way... I'm going to wait for the bus. The bus is moving, okay. The movements of the actual soldier himself looks a lot like Medal of Honor 2010's campaign. A lot of the graphics look like the campaign from Medal of Honor 2010. It's just how the weapons move, how certain things in the environment react, just certain stressors like the gunfire and people hurling over, hurtling over obstacles. Looks a lot like Battlefield 3. And it's just, nowadays, let me wait for another bus to pass by. Children are getting out from their recess. A lot of times people want fast-paced, really energetic gameplay. They want excitement. They want shit going down and, things blowing up and gunfire and stuff like that. Although Medal of Honor provides this, they don't do it in a fluid-type fashion. Every time I watch a Medal of Honor Warfighter demo review or beta review, the one complaint I hear over and over again: game feels clunky. The game feels clunky. Controls very clunky. People don't want that. That's why Medal of Honor has been. That's another reason why, I should say, Medal of Honor has been a failing series in terms of multiplayer. They just don't have a fluid system. It's still very, shaky and very just not totally there. So, I'm going to try and do a crappy transition over to Call of Duty now. Call of Duty over the past few years has basically been on the formula of, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. It's just, they've been reusing the same engine, the same formula for years now. And the only changes that have really been coming to Call of Duty are ideas of other first-person shooter games. Now, Spartan, what do you mean? Well, Kill Confirmed has been a game type that has been around, first-person shooter games like Crysis. I'm pretty sure there's some other older games that I just not aware of. I know there's some other games that have a similar type of game where the dog tags drop and you have to collect the dog tags. That's not an original idea. That is something that they have borrowed from other games. Gun Game, another game that was borrowed from Counter-Strike. It's not an original idea. Call of Duty from now, I'm going to call it. Call of Duty is not going to come up with another original idea for, any other time, any other multiplayer. They're all, so far, Call of Duty's track record has been copy off the previous Call of Duty, and now, more recently, it's been, let's take cut and paste ideas from other first-person shooter games and see how they mix with the Call of Duty formula. Let's see if they're successful or not. That's been the general consensus with, Activision and all the developers. Let's see what mixes well with our formula. They just don't have any original ideas. That's the big thing with Call of Duty. And now, this is another thing that has been affecting other first-person shooter games, more specifically with this game. Well, not exactly this game, but this franchise, Battlefield. EA and DICE and all the people who work on Battlefield have, done a pretty awesome job in the previous games. They have taken time. They've taken their time. They've, taken years to develop their games to make sure that it runs the way that they want it to run. Things are, firing on all cylinders. But now, more recently, it doesn't seem that way. And the whole shocker was that if you pre-ordered Medal of Honor Warfighter, you get the exclusive access to the Battlefield 4 beta. And everyone's like, what? Battlefield 4 beta? The DICE just released Battlefield 3, and now next year is going to be, Battlefield 4? What's going on here? Well, it's, in my eyes, more of an attempt by EA to compete with Call of Duty. Everyone, as much as we hate to admit it, Call of Duty is probably the #1 seller in terms of first-person shooter games because of that, fast-paced action, the fast-paced, gunfire and kill streaks and points flashing up on screen. That is Call of Duty, and that's why people love it. It's just, there's things going on, and there's a motorcycle outside. Again, I'm very sorry about this. This is probably one time I can make videos, but more on the topic at hand. People just love the excitement. And in previous Battlefield games, it was a lot like Medal of Honor in terms of clunkiness. If you ever played Bad Company 2, you'll tell the difference between that game and, say, this game, Call of Duty, any Call of Duty game, really. Bad Company 2 was a slow-paced game. It was, in terms of moving around and reloading and, gunplay and stuff like that, it was a slow-paced game. It wasn't anything like this game. It wasn't anything like Call of Duty. It was a strategic shooter. And although it did success, EA has decided, we're just not putting up quite the amount of numbers that, Call of Duty has put up. And now I don't have the exact numbers, but that's only my thinking. That, EA is thinking. Gosh, that's a terrible sentence. But, anyways, EA is trying to compete with Call of Duty by copying Call of Duty. And now you might be thinking, oh, this game's nothing like Call of Duty. What are you talking about? Well, look at it. It's very fast-paced. More specifically with the Close Quarters pack, that was basically introducing Call of Duty into Battlefield. Very tight, enclosed maps. Specifically, hang on a second. Terribly sorry, everyone. There was a knocking on my door, and I had to go answer. But more specifically, I wanted to talk about just very tight quartered maps in here. No vehicles. If you wanted to call them kill streaks, they're not really kill streaks, they're just vehicles in general. It's all infantry-based gameplay. And that is very much what Call of Duty really is. It's infantry-based gameplay. There's no vehicles. The only vehicles that you go into are the AC-130 and the chopper gunner. These are very broad terms. There's the more specifics for whatever game you go into. In Modern Warfare 2, it was the AC-130 chopper gunner. Black Ops, it was the the Huey and oh Christ, the other gunner. I can't think of the name right now. I think it was like the. Oh my God! It wasn't Cobra. Oh, it's gonna kill me. It was the other gunner. You know, the one that had the missiles and machine guns. That was the equivalent of like the AC-130 in Black Ops. In Modern Warfare 3, we had the AC-130 and the Osprey gunner. You know, so there's those general variants. And now, even with Armored Kill, we have the introduction of the AC-130 and a lot of these big-time, you know, massive air support type things. And it's just, it has a very Call of Duty-esque type feel to it, you know, and even if you compare this game to Bad Company 2, there really is no comparison. This game is completely different from that game. Why? Is because it's not exactly a strategic game anymore, you know, I mean, even with games like Rush, like Conquest, you have people pushing up into the enemy spawns, spawn trapping them because there's no random selected spawns. I mean, Call of Duty is really being instilled into Battlefield. Whether people like it or not, whether they like to admit it or not, Call of Duty is coming to Battlefield. You know, I mean, you can just tell within the gameplay. This game is much more fast-paced. A lot more shit is happening in this game as compared to Bad Company 2. And, I mean, some people might think, oh, this is pretty cool, you know, Battlefield is, you know, taking another turn, you know, doing something else different. Yeah, that could be a good thing, but on other terms, you know, at least for me, not really, you know, I mean, yes, do I like Battlefield 3? Yes, it's a fun game. But it lacks that thing from Bad Company 2 that I loved so much, which is that, like, thinking aspect. This game, yes, there is some thinking involved. Which objectives should I take, you know, which weapons should I use, and which kits serve the best for this certain situation, but other than that, it's like playing Call of Duty, you know, at least in my opinion. It's not very much thinking. Bad Company 2 made you think a lot more, like, okay, which route should I take, you know, how am I going to engage the enemy, should I try flank, should I keep, you know, the pressure going on the front line so that other people can go arm the NCOMs? There's nothing like that in Battlefield 3, at least to my experience, you know, I mean, if you're on an organized team, yes, you know, there's organized thought on an organized team, that only makes sense, but, you know, it's just a lot of the glory that was from Battlefield just lost, in my opinion, you know, it's not the same game. It's Battlefield trying to be Call of Duty, and even, you know, with, now we're moving away from the game, and more so in the behind the scenes, they're trying to do the Call of Duty formula for release a game every year. You know, DICE has never done that before until now. You know why? It's because Call of Duty is putting up numbers that Battlefield just can't. Call of Duty is a game that a lot of people are familiar with. It's been out for a long time. Battlefield hasn't been out for that long. You know, I mean, it's been on, first off, it's been on the PC for the majority of its lifespan, and second off, I mean, it's just, it doesn't have the same appeal that Call of Duty has. So DICE is basically trying to turn this game into Call of Duty, essentially, just to get those numbers. But that's just my theory on it all. I hope you all enjoyed, even though there was a lot of interruptions and random shit going on. But once again, I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any feedback or thoughts about my theories, leave them in the comment section below. And until next time, everyone, this is Farmware 5. Signing out.